The military history of Russia is full of disasters, bad decisions, colossal losses, and incompetent leadership. It hasn't been much different with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. On February 24, 2022, Ukraine was attacked by Russian ground forces from 4 military districts and a joint strategic command. For the purposes of conducting military operations against Ukraine, initially 4 groups of forces have been created, corresponding to Russia's 4 military districts. Each group consists of a number of combined arms armies and army corpses. Those formations usually have several divisions and brigades, as well as smaller units such as regiments and battalions subordinated to their command. In the Russian military, there are 4 general-level ranks: Major General, Lieutenant General, Colonel General, and Army General. Typically, Russian generals hold positions of the commanders from the level of brigade to the level of group of forces / military district. For the purposes of this material, 5 figures have been picked, the actions and decisions of whom have directly contributed to Russian setbacks on the battlefield. It's worth noting that the poor performance of a unit led by a given commander is not always entirely dependent on him. The battlefield is complex and many external factors can contribute to that. Those include poor logistics, bad decision-making by higher command, weak flanks, as well as intelligence failures. But it also remains a fact that Russian generals commanding units and formations at the tactical operational level possess certain autonomy in their actions and decision-making, one that could ultimately decide on the success or failure of a given task. Colonel General Oleg Makarevich. In January 2023, Makarevich is appointed the commander of the Dnieper group of forces, responsible for the sector of the frontline in southern Ukraine. That's when the arguably most infamous period of his military career begins. Not long after his appointment, Makarevich starts being criticized by Russian meal bloggers for his inability to improvise and adapt to a modern battlefield. A simple example: this General Admiral recently didn't believe that the weather outside was terrible for Orlan and Mavic UAVs. They sent an officer to take a goddamn photo report of the sky, and while taking it, he gets hit by artillery and dies. Other bizarre decisions made by General Makarevich are listed in the post made by Rybar, dated May 2023. Under Makarevich command, the 2005th Motor Rifle Brigade, subordinated to the Dnieper group of forces, suffers a serious morale crisis and other various problems. Also under Makarevich watch, Ukrainian forces are able to establish footholds on the left bank of the Dnieper River, despite having it as a huge natural barrier. On October 29, 2023, Colonel General Oleg Makarevich is removed from the position of the commander of the Dnieper group of forces. He is replaced by Colonel General of the Russian Airborne Forces Mikhail Teplinsky. So, what are the main sins of Colonel General Oleg Makarevich as a commander? Slow reaction to developments on the battlefield. Failure to maintain discipline and order on the positions. Inability to adapt to a modern battlefield. As well as bizarre or simply absurd decisions. Lieutenant General Andrey Sychevoy. Sometime after the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Sychevoy assumed the post of the commander of the whole Western group of forces. In August or September 22, he was replaced by Lieutenant General Roman Berdnikov. During Ukraine's Kharkiv counteroffensive in September 2022, a photo of a captured Russian soldier started circulating on social media with the claim that it's General Sychevoy himself. That turned out to be fake, but taking into consideration future events, one could ask whether it wouldn't be better for Russian troops if the person in that photo was indeed Sychevoy. It's May 2023. After a few months of heavy fighting, Russian forces, led by Wagner units, are finally able to conquer Bakhmut. Around the same time, Russian High Command creates the group of forces Bakhmut, responsible for the sector of the front line near the freshly captured city. Lieutenant General Sychevoy is appointed the commander of this newly established formation. Those developments coincide in time with the beginning of long-anticipated major Ukrainian counteroffensive.
Through a fog of conflicting reports, it appears Ukraine's big counter-offensive is now underway, with a major assault on Russian forces in Zaporizhia. Russia, meanwhile, is being accused of shelling the city of Kherson, where the catastrophic dam collapse is posing new danger.
Although the main effort takes place in the south, on the Zaporizhia front, the Ukrainian military also launches a secondary attack near Bakhmut. Throughout summer 2023, Ukrainian forces are able to push back Russian troops from General Sychevoy's grouping a few kilometers to the east, gaining footholds in the settlements of Klishchivka and Andrivka. Relentless counterattacks by Russian forces in that sector do not yield other results than horrendous casualties on their side. General Sychevoy is criticized for throwing his soldiers into a meat grinder. This is a comment made by the instructor of Russian Storm Z units, Sviatoslav Golikov, about General Sychevoy's performance. This idiot Sychevoy, only in September, has buried 1,500 of its men on the front line. He buried them in a stupid way. The result is obvious. The line has been breached. How to stabilize the situation now? F*** knows. Bringing back barely healed, wounded soldiers with shrapnel still stuck. A great plan. Well, what the hell else are we supposed to do? We are running out of men. And then, later, when all this bullshit ends with our victory, which is being clawed and torn out knee-deep in blood by all those you so diligently bury, you'll be flashing your medals and delivering heroic speeches at ceremonial events? Am I right? Heroes. The formal presence of shoulder marks doesn't make someone a real officer. What kind of officers are you? You're a complete. Are you going to slap us with discredit? You are the ones, you who disgrace the Russian army. Lieutenant General Andrey Sychevoy has been removed from the position of the commander of the group of forces Bakhmut in early October 2023. His later career path remains unclear. So what are the main sins of General Sychevoy as a commander? Poor situational awareness. Disregard for soldiers' life. Lieutenant General Sergey Kisel, commanding the prestigious 1st Guards Tank Army, General Kisel was supposed to capture the major Ukrainian city of Kharkiv and lead the main thrust into Ukraine's Sumy Oblast in the opening stages of the Russian invasion. At its disposal, Kisel had the 2nd Guards Motor Rifle Division and 4th Guards Tank Division, both considered the elite of the Russian army at that time. In addition to that, there also was the newly established 47th Tank Division and a number of other units. But things quickly went downhill for Kisel. 47th Division got hit hard near Kamianka in Kharkiv Oblast, while the 2nd and 4th Divisions lost dozens of its tanks and other pieces of equipment in Sumy, Chernihiv and Poltava Oblasts. As if it wasn't enough, the Kantemirovskaya formation suffered a major defeat from the hands of the Ukrainian 93rd Mechanized Brigade during the Battle of Trostianets, eventually getting kicked out of Ukraine's Sumy Oblast by the end of March 2022. Following his debacle in the early stages of the invasion, General Kisel is dismissed from the position of the commander of the 1st Guards Tank Army. In May 2022, he is sent to Syria, where he is later appointed as an overall commander of the Russian group of forces in the Syrian Arab Republic. But if General Kisel thought he could peacefully live up until his retirement in this Levantine country, he was about to experience a very unpleasant surprise. In late November 2024, Syrian rebel forces launched a major offensive against the Assad government, capturing the ancient city of Aleppo. General Kisel is slow to react and unable to contain this situation despite the use of the Russian air component. On November 30th, news comes in that Kisel has been removed from the position of the commander of the Russian forces in Syria. Shortly thereafter, Bashar al-Assad flees to Russia, while his regime collapses. General Kisel's main sins as a commander are slow reaction to developments on the battlefield, poor logistical skills, inability to improvise. Lieutenant General Sukhrab Akhmedov. In late October 2022, Russian armed forces launched an offensive in the area of the Ukrainian city of Vuhledar, located in the southwestern part of Donetsk Oblast. The road to outflank Ukrainian troops defending the town led through the nearby settlement of Pavlivka. At that time, General Akhmedov was the commander of the Pacific Fleet Naval Infantry grouping consisting of the 40th and 155th Brigades, which were spearheading the advance on Pavlivka. After a few unsuccessful and costly assaults, reports about Akhmedov's incompetent leadership started spreading to a wider audience, mainly because of the letter from servicemen of the 155th Brigade, addressed to the governor of Primorsky Krai, a region in the Russian Far East in which the home base of the unit is located. In the letter, Russian Marines wrote that the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade suffered 300 casualties and lost around 50% of its combat vehicles in a few days of assaults on Pavlivka. They said that the incomprehensible attack was planned by the commander of the Group of Forces East, General Muradov and Akhmedov, so that Muradov could earn his bonuses, while Akhmedov would receive the Hero of Russia award. In December 2022, Akhmedov is appointed as the commander of the 20th Combined Arms Army from the Group of Forces West. Not much is heard about General Akhmedov until June 14, 2023, when his name makes the headlines again, as he commits another blunder. While getting ready to embark for an offensive near Kreminna in Lugansk Oblast, Russian soldiers from the 144th Motor Rifle Division, subordinated to the 20th Army, are ordered to gather in a forestry area. There, they are awaiting Commander Akhmedov himself, as he is supposed to arrive and deliver a motivational speech. After over 2 hours of waiting, Akhmedov is nowhere to be seen. But the gathering of Russian troops has already been detected by Ukrainian UAVs. Soon, HIMARS and artillery fire starts raining on them. Some reports put the number of dead as high as 100 soldiers and the total casualties as high as 200. Russian mill bloggers were furious with Akhmedov, yet he remained in the position of the commander of the 20th Combined Arms Army. In March 2024, the instructor of Russian Storm Z units, Sviatoslav Golikov, who previously criticized General Andrey Sychevoy, voiced his dissatisfaction with the Akhmedov's leadership, saying that he is slaughtering the 20th Army near Terny in Donetsk Oblast. In late May 2024, Sukhrab Akhmedov is removed from the position of the commander of the 20th Combined Arms Army. But, as it will later turn out, it wasn't his last word in this war. Because of the tendency to throw his soldiers into a meat grinder, Akhmedov received the nickname Butcher. On July 10, 2025, the Butcher is awarded with the Hero of the Russian Federation, the highest honorary title in Russia. In September 2025, it becomes known that General Sukhrab Akhmedov is in command of the naval infantry grouping fighting near Pokrovsk on the Donetsk front. Drawing on his experiences from the Vuhledar offensive, Akhmedov once again throws mechanized columns for frontal assaults through open fields with similar results as 3 years ago. Some people just never change. Here are Akhmedov's main sins as a commander. Complete disregard for soldier's life. Total incompetence. Lack of situational awareness. And carelessness. Colonel General Rustam Muradov. Success has many fathers, and the Vuhledar disaster has two, as they used to say. But more about that in a moment. Muradov has been a pretty recognizable figure in the Russian military community long before the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. He earned respect and praise for his actions during combat in North Caucasus and Syria, receiving the Hero of the Russian Federation award in 2017. In November 2020, General Muradov is appointed the commander of the Russian contingent in Karabakh, monitoring the ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan following the conclusion of the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War. On October 5, 2022, it becomes known that Muradov has been appointed as the commander of the Group of Forces East, fighting in southeastern Ukraine. When the Vuhledar offensive is launched, Muradov is an immediate superior of Akhmedov, As previously mentioned, Muradov's name is listed next to Akhmedov's in the infamous letter from servicemen of the 155th Brigade, in which he is blamed for high casualties and failures on the battlefield. But while Akhmedov's adventure with Vuhledar ends in December 2022, when he is appointed the commander of the 20th Combined Arms Army, Muradov continues to throw mechanized columns through open fields, covered with mines and watched by Ukrainian UAVs. Those fields are quickly being turned into a graveyard of Russian armored equipment. Russian forces failed to capture the city of Vuhledar throughout winter 2023, losing over 100 tanks and other armored vehicles in the process. For his conduct of this operation, General Muradov came under heavy critique from the mill blogger community. Grey Zone, a channel affiliated with the Wagner group, called Muradov a and a cowardly bitch. The notorious Russian war commentator Igor Girkin, aka Strelkov, suggested that Muradov is a complete idiot. In April 2023, General Rustam Muradov is removed from the post of the commander of the Group of Forces East. Shortly after his dismissal, a source in the Russian military tells the Moscow Times newspaper. Muradov was dismissed because he was a deranged idiot capable of ordering soldiers to face certain death. Many complained about him. After the Vuhledar disaster, General Muradov remained in the shadow until November 2024, when it was announced that he would become the deputy commander of the Russian ground forces, a decision that understandably didn't generate much enthusiasm among the Russian military community. So, what are the main scenes of Colonel General Rustam Muradov as a commander? Complete disregard for soldiers' life, banging head against the wall, waste of resources. If to create an actual ranking of the worst Russian generals from the figures presented in this material, taking into account amount and significance of their failures, this is how it would probably look. What do you think about those choices? Do you agree with them? Or perhaps you have your own candidates? Feel free to present them in the comments. Thank you for watching, bye for now.